Hello and welcome to this week's version of Tea and Tarot Tuesday. Um, Today I want to talk about ethics because I think that it's really important for us to, as readers, or psychics, mediums, anyone who works with the general public in a spiritual manner, and takes on clients who are looking for resolution or insight and guidance in their life. It is really important that we have very defined ethics. Um, and so at this particular juncture, after I have spent the entire weekend away at a festival doing readings for people, I definitely feel that. Oh no, I have to turn off the sound on this so you don't have to hear all my ridiculous notifications. Nice to see you all. But okay, back to ethics. As readers, we become very intimate with our clients and the people who sit down, because they are trusting us with their vulnerability. And, that creates a bond of trust between you and the person that you are doing the reading for. As such, it is really important that we honor that trust and truly create a safe space for the people that we are working with. When someone sits down with you, the way that I see it, they sit across from you or next to you, or however it is that you do your readings, and whatever kind of spiritual work that you're doing, whether it be energy work or whatnot, and they allow you into their bubble, essentially. And usually, I see that as them giving me permission to get all up in their shit. And as a result, it is my responsibility to be extremely respectful of that space. And what that means is that the obvious, anything they tell me is told in confidence. I will not share any information. Quite frankly, most of the time I don't remember any of the information, because when you're channeling spirit and you're working in that space, the energy comes through at that time in the present only, and when they walk away, I typically don't hold on to any of it or remember any of it. There are certain anecdotal stories that I tell here, but I couldn't tell you necessarily who they even are attached to, who the stories belong to. But being in that space, I share with them the information that I get from spirit. I do readings for people, and everything that is said within that space is is said in confidence, so that they can feel the ability to be safe and trust you with the information. And I always tell them, I have actually a lot of readers that express anxiety when they first meet me, because they have had other readers that they didn't feel necessarily, or other folks that they've shared information with in their past, that didn't respect that space. We've all been there. We've all shared something with the wrong person who didn't know to keep their mouth shut, and we don't want to have that lack of trust with anyone that we work with. So, but ethically, it goes well beyond that. It's not just about keeping secrets for people, or holding things in confidence. We as readers are responsible for everything that we say and do when working with a client. We have to be really sure that the information that we are communicating to people is being heard and shared within in a way that they understand the nature of it. Semantics can be really different from one person to the next. When we're speaking, when we say a word, we express a word that to us may not carry any serious weight. It might for the person that you're doing a reading for. So it's always good to check in and get them to reverbalize what it is that you have said, to make sure that everything is understood, because you do not want to say something that one of your clients walks away with the wrong idea about what it is that you were trying to express. And we always have to leave a certain amount of room for doubt as well, and let people know that we are flawed also. No reader is going to be 100% correct 100% of the time. So, and we have our own filters that the information comes through. So it is always possible that our filter created what would the word be? That created a miscommunication, or we didn't interpret it correctly because of traumas in our own life, or ideas or situations we've been in that affected the way that we expressed the information to the person that we were speaking to that was sitting across from us. So I always tell people, look, take what resonates with you, check in with spirit, and see that this actually tracks for you. I don't want to, for people to become dependent upon me for their ability to connect to spirit. I always work to empower my clients. I do readings for people, and at the same time, I also offer classes to help people to learn how to connect to their own inner guidance, their spirit guides, and anyone, and empower themselves to be able to not need to see someone all the time, because I'm not trying to create a bunch of dependent folk dependent on me for direction, but help them to step into their own power, because we all have the ability to do that and find our own guidance. Of course, there's always going to be those moments when we need a little bit of outside validation or understanding, and that's when a reader is appropriate. Or energy work is appropriate, but it's never, a solution to keep people constantly needing to come back. But as I was saying, being responsible for what it is that you say to people and your own bullshit filters. We are all still going through our own healing journeys. Each of us understand that. We had a conversation, last week or the week before, about shadow work and being aware of your own triggers and doing the work necessary to heal ourselves. And I just had a question about how one gets a class schedule, and saying that they would like to learn. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. One of the things that I'm right now, I'm not doing large classes with a number of different people. I'm doing one-on-one work because of COVID, and I also do stuff online. So if you are interested, if there's a specific topic that you would like to cover, please text me, send me a DM, and we can figure things out. If you and your wife wanted to come together, we could create a schedule for the learning aspects. I can give you a list of the classes that I've already built out, and we can fine-tune things for what it is that you are wanting to learn. So thank you for that question. But yeah, because of COVID, I'm not having large groups of people in my studio. Well, they weren't larger, probably like 5 or 6 folks, because I like to keep the classes intimate so everybody creates a safe space. Again, it's about the ethics and creating a safe space for people to be able to feel safe to be vulnerable, and vulnerability is where the real work is able to be accomplished. So when we can be actually fully authentically ourselves. So that being said, when we do readings for people, we need to, and you're doing any sort of spiritual work, energy work, or whatnot, we have to be aware of our own filters and be aware of what it is that triggers us, because our triggers can cause us to react in a way that we're not giving people the most authentic of information. Reactions are not actions. Actionable work, being able to choose based on proper awareness and full awareness and authentic action is being outside the place of trauma. And when we have trauma and we haven't done the work to address that, then we can misguide our clients. So it's really important for readers or spiritual guides or anyone working in this capacity to absolutely dive deeply into our own healing constantly. I am constantly doing shadow work. I am constantly addressing my own shit and dealing with it. And every person that I work with helps me to go deeper into that healing space, because we learn so much about ourselves when we look around, take a look around the world and see other people doing the same fucking work. And of course I remember you, sir. Somebody is saying that I gave them a reading at Sherwood. I remember you and your beautiful wife, of course. And thank you for all the fine compliments. And they also purchased some of my honey. Did you purchase the honey? I think, yeah. So thank you. I look forward to speaking with you about classes. Am I correct that your name is Eric? Yes, so I look forward to speaking to you and your wife Isis, I believe, if I've got all of that correct. So I'm trying to get back on track. Let's see. Yes, oh, wonderful, Eric and Isis. I do remember you guys. I remember we had a really great conversation. I hope you'll be back out at Sherwood this year. I really love doing that festival. I get to meet so many amazing and wonderful people and sit down and talk to some really great folks. And I remember you and your photo project you were doing. So, yeah. But doing our work, being really very consciously aware of what we need to heal in ourselves so that we don't adversely affect the lives of people that we are working with spiritually. I also think it's really very important ethically to know where we are incapable of helping people. I am not a licensed therapist. I have studied therapy and I continue to do that. And will continue to study and dive deeper and do the work myself and take classes that will help me to better assist my clients as well as myself in my own healing. But I also know that one reading is never going to cure anybody's shit. It isn't only going to start the conversation. And so I am always prepared with a list of books, with a list of therapists, believe it or not. Some people that I have spoken to personally and trust, or people that have come recommended by other clients. And so, I mean, I never expect people to not do their own research and find the person that best works for them. But it is really important that folks who do the readings don't continue to upsell you products. I mean, I can help people learn to meditate, but there are certain things that when feeling in healing past traumas, the really intense PTSD, where therapy is something that I greatly recommend, and do know that we need assistance to be able to do that. And doing a reading for somebody or a little bit of energy work here and there does not help them to completely confront that space. We need our spirit. We need to be able to speak with professionals. And I think ethically it is very important for us to realize where our expertise stops and where it is important to get somebody else involved. Now, that being said, there are a lot of ways that we can help folks to facilitate the comfort level to be able to confront their own apprehension when working with therapists. I do get a lot of people that come to me that are frightened, that are not ready to step into that space of vulnerability with another person and really work through their traumas. And so the more work that we do together, the more that it creates a space of comfort and a space of safety so that they can begin to allow themselves to trust someone and, step into the space of working with another person on healing those traumas. Now, I do not believe that therapy is necessarily the only answer. I just feel that it is a great one, and working with folks who have already done that work themselves, it's really important that we be able to help our clients to find that space. So again, in our readings, in our working with people, and creating the space of vulnerability for them, there are things that I just won't bring up, even if I am shown certain aspects, because sometimes opening an area of somebody's world, a trauma that they aren't ready to confront themselves, you have to really be able to be in strong communication with spirit to understand that there are certain subjects that some folks aren't ready to breach. One of the things I really fucking hate, is when a person who is a medium or a psychic, and you are we're constantly getting information. If you don't know how to put your shields up, if you don't go out into the world and create a boundary around yourself, you will receive information. You're going to receive information about other people's life and experience, and that's not your fucking business. If people don't come to you and ask for advice or ask for information, don't walk up to that bitch in the grocery store whose dead dad is trying to get a message to her and give her that message, because it's just fucking rude. Maybe he was abusive. Maybe, she's not ready to hear it. The grief is too strong for her. And having a fucking strange person come up to you when you don't want it, when you haven't asked for it, and giving information to somebody is highly unethical, and it's wrong. It's really fucking wrong. So that's one of the things I hear a lot of folks who are just beginning to work with their gifts or their abilities, and they don't understand boundaries. And I've heard them say, "Oh, I got this message and I walked up to this woman and blah blah blah," and that just makes me cringe every time, because it's not it's just not okay. It's you are definitely stepping across their boundary without their consent. Now, if the need arises and for some reason you can't get it out, just ask for permission. I personally don't, I put my shields up when I go out in public. I don't tap into other people's spaces. It's like going through somebody's fucking underwear drawer. I'm not going to do that unless I'm invited. Well, maybe not even if I'm invited. But getting into people's business in that way is not something that you should walk around in the world doing. Now, it's another thing I teach is how to set your spiritual and energetic boundaries so that you're not constantly funneling information of other people's lives through your own energy field, and you can create the boundaries, and it will keep you from getting exhausted and having so much constant barrage of bullshit all the time. But permission is everything. We talk about consent in other areas of our life, about how consent is everything. We need to remember that in the spiritual community as well. If somebody hasn't given you their consent to read them, you don't have their fucking consent, and you need to walk the fuck away. Yeah, that's obviously that's something that really bothers me because I hear people say, speak on that so often, and they're always so proud that they shared this information, and I'm like, it frustrates me and bothers me because I just have heard too many horror stories from people coming up to me talking about, coming to my clients coming to me and telling me that some woman or man told them this, and and what if the information is completely fucking bullshit? What if your filters affected that situation and were so adamant? I once walked into a shop and had somebody attempt to try to read me without my permission. Now, being somebody who does this work, I had my shields up, and their information was completely off. And I know in myself that I can let go of any of the information that somebody tries to give me without my consent, and that bullshit is bullshit. But some people really are affected by whatever, when somebody who claims to be a psychic or a medium comes and gives them information, and they may already have a vulnerability, and you speaking to them and maybe getting the information wrong can affect them so adversely. And so I really feel like that's just really a breach of ethics. I know it's a breach of ethics. So I've had so many people that I've had to sit down with and try to help them heal from that situation. You just created more fucking trauma. I've had people sit down in front of me. There was one woman at a place that I was doing public readings who she sat down with me, and we were doing a reading, and her relative, who was abusive, started to try to, was talking to me, and she could tell that I was reacting to something else that was present. And so she was like, wait, what is it? What is it? Is my mom here? And I was like, yeah, actually she is. And she's like, I don't want to hear anything that woman has to say. Now, if I had been a fucking asshole, I would have said, oh, but she has this message. She just wants you to know that she loves you. She wasn't ready to hear that. And honestly, an apology doesn't change that situation. She has to deal with the trauma before she can be ready to hear those things. And so, it's really important that we respect people's boundaries no matter what. I've had to stop readings in the middle because people weren't ready, or there was too much information being shared that they weren't ready to confront or deal with. And we always have to respect that space. Consent can be taken away at any particular point. The boundaries that we create with our bodies, we also have to respect those boundaries with people's energy, with people's spirit. And I feel so often that in the Wuji spiritual community, there's just not enough of respect in those spaces. We have to look at it as, as we do in the BDSM community. Consent is fucking everything. And consent can be taken away at any point. You've got your fucking safe word. No, I don't want to hear that. No, I'm not ready for that. So respect your clients and create that safe boundary for folks to be able to to feel vulnerable with you. Because if you respect those spaces, if you give them the opportunity to not hear something, or to and you don't dive deeper and push too hard when somebody is clearly unable or unwilling to take on that information, then we also we build trust and facilitate their healing even more than the reading might already have started to do. Now, when I work with energetically with people, I do energy work that's akin to Reiki. I am a certified Reiki master, but I also have done other energy work that it's all kind of assimilated into one core practice that I haven't put a name on. And when I do energy work for people, I also have to be aware of just how much energy that I am shifting and changing. There are certain blocks or things that people put in place on purpose through whatever wounds that they may have, and situations that they don't want to confront immediately. So I have to constantly be in conversation with spirit. And this is pretty woojy for folks who are maybe not as not in the same place spiritually. It sounds very, out there at times, but when doing energy work, when we work with our etheric bodies, it affects the physical body as well. So everything is tied to it. Everything is tied together. We are more than the sum of our parts. And so being aware of people's energetic spaces and the consent that the body gives and the consent that the energetic bodies give, for us to rearrange their energy and create the flow and begin to remove blockages. You have to make sure that a person is ready for all of that emotion to well up, because removing a blockage or creating a space where folks will then have that barrage of information that maybe they were trying to hold at bay. There has to be a space for them to be able to confront everything that's going to come up for them. My phone lines and communication spaces are always open because I want to be present for all of the people that I work with. And at the same time, I don't want to leave somebody in a space where they are taking on too much and the intensity of it is overwhelming. So, and it's really just about love, care, trust, respect, and safety. That's what we all want. And so whenever you are in your practice and working with people, those things should always be at the forefront of how you interact with people. Trust, safety, respect, and kindness. Deal with people and in a way that facilitates their healing instead of putting them in a spiral of discomfort and disempowerment. We never want to do that. So if anyone has any questions, that's my talk on ethics and my rant about people's bullshit when it comes to overstepping boundaries. So let me know if you have any questions. I know this is a short one today. I feel like ethics is a topic that we could talk about a lot, but I think I'd just be reiterating much of the same information. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. This will be on my IGTV as well as my YouTube, and I keep saying I'm going to convert them all to podcast. I'm slow on that. It's going to happen.